Button. Such a simple word, and how many different meanings it has. After all, buttons have many forms and types, and even people are sometimes called buttons. Who are you? You are a button. For example, the button on the clothes. This is a furniture without which it is impossible to imagine a light industry in the modern world. After all, these small clasps are used in many types of clothes and shoes. The buttons for clothes were invented back in 1885 in the French city of Grenoble, which at that time was the leader in Europe in the production of leather products. The author of the mechanical push button was Albert Pierre Raymond, who created a button for leather gloves that resembled a button. Local factories appreciated the invention and began to actively use it in their business. Despite the fact that the buttons are more than 100 years old, they are constantly being improved, and the methods of their installation are also. You are on the channel AS Masters. And today we will talk about the installation of buttons, because you have repeatedly asked me this question. So, the button. There are different types and types of buttons. Even what we are not used to calling buttons is called a button. The buttons are plastic, metal, brass. Now we will analyze what we use in our work, or rather what I use in my work, and how they are installed. The first button, or rather the screw, we call it is called a screw. It consists of two parts. The first part is the screw itself, and the second part is the screw button. In order to install it, there will be no difficulties. To do this, it is enough to punch a hole. On one side we insert the screw. On the other side we screw. But you ask, what is the process of the button? How can it be called a button? And so that it serves as a button, we take another part, punch another hole in it. And this hole can already be inserted into this screw. This is how it actually works. So that it does not just slip, the hole itself is punched in a smaller diameter. It is much more difficult to put it on. And a little cut is made. It turns out such a cut. We put it on. And the chances that it will just pop out of here are much less. The next button, we also usually call it a button, it is a magnet. Magnetic mounts. Usually we call them so. In this case, it is a contact magnetic mount. Why contact? Because it consists of two sites, which are magnetized to each other. On the one hand, the site is a magnet, and on the other hand, the site is in direct contact with it. Due to this, they are magnetized to each other. How to mount it? We take one side, turn it over, slightly press it, and we see the places where we need to make cuts. In these places we make a cut. Now, in these cuts, we insert our button. On the reverse side, we insert the seal and clamp our edges. On the opposite side, we do the same thing. Marked. Cut. Pierced and bent. As a result, we get a contact magnetic button. I also use a contactless magnetic button. These are neodymium magnets. They are used as a contactless button. What side you will hook them on does not matter. This one on top, or this one on top. They are contactless. But there is one nuance. This type of fasteners I use only on thin products. More precisely, on thin areas of the product, where there is thin leather. For example, if the thickness of this leather is 1.2 mm, 1.4 mm, I think it can be used. Further, in this way, they attach to each other well. Because the leather is thin. When the leather is thicker, 1.8 mm, 2 mm, on a single type, they attach well. But if you use two such pieces, in this case, the fastening will be much worse. And it will be very easy to warm up. Therefore, in such leathers, I usually use contact buttons. And compare with thinner leather. Two identical. It is much more difficult to separate them, and they attach much better. Therefore, the thickness of the leather depends directly on what type of magnetic button I use. Now let's move on to a more classic concept of buttons. Here is our classic button. This is the omega button. Often it is also called the kappa button. It consists of 4 parts. And it is very similar to the alpha button. What is the difference? The main part is the head. What is it? What is it? The visible part, which we always see. They are not different. They are the same. The next part of this head, which is inside, is already different. It is a little different. As you can see, they are radically different. They differ in the type of clamp. And in the type of installation, including. And the lower parts, which are also different. Here is a leg with such a hole. Here is a leg without a hole. There are also buttons of different sizes, different colors and different types. For example, take the omega button. It would seem that the omega button and the alpha button are the same. But the same omega button can be different. And the way of installation is the same. These buttons differ only in the color of the hat. And that's all. So, how to install the omega button? We punch a hole. We put our hat on the visible side. We turn it over. And we insert this side back. In order to install buttons efficiently, you need special tools. Professional masters have a special press. Masters who are engaged not just in handmade, but in mass production. You probably saw it in other videos. But we are talking about more homely ways of installing these buttons. And also for masters who do not want to spend money on such presses. Or just put them somewhere. So, to install the omega button you need a lot of tools. But this is not so. These are just different sizes and types of buttons. The first thing we need is such a punch. Or such a roulette punch. The size of the punch can be different depending on the size of the button you use. The next thing we need are such special inserts under the hat of the installer. Although you can do without them. But what you definitely will not do without is such a plate. Depending on the type of button and such installers. So, on a live example, I show the installation of the Omega button. I remove all unnecessary parts. This is one button. We put it in a suitable size for the whole of the hat. Or you can use universal ones like this. But it is better to use a suitable size. We put the return part. The main thing is that it fits well in the hat, and we choose a suitable size. This is a big punch, for example. We choose a little smaller. They are all numbered, I can tell you the number, this is 206. It suits us well. So, we put it like this and install. Such things are recommended to do on the floor so that there is less noise and nothing jumps on the table. The camera will now jump, and everything nearby will also jump a little because I'm doing it on the camera, so as not to rearrange it on the floor. We put it in our most suitable place. We selected the most suitable installation and then just hold the hand and put it. If we put everything correctly, it is firmly held, though it can spin. Now we proceed to the return part. For the return part, at the beginning, we do the same. We punch a hole, and only now we insert our return part on the inside. We insert on this side the second part. To install this part, you can use two installation options. The first option is just a metal plate, put it like this. The second option, which is much better, is to use this punch with such a protrusion. We put it here. The installation is the same. So, the button is installed. Check. If everything is like this, a characteristic click is heard, clasp. It can be difficult at the beginning. If we hear a characteristic click, clasp, and with a little effort it opens, everything is installed correctly. In order for everything to be smooth and of good quality, first, use quality accessories, that is, quality buttons. Second, do everything according to the instructions. Then everything will be smooth and precise, and keep the installer exactly. Everything must be done exactly. At first, it is difficult, but then the hand gets used to it, and everything becomes automatic. Now proceed to my favorite button, Alpha, which I use very often in my products for two reasons. It looks nice and it is very convenient and easy to fit and apply in many details. I have them in different sizes, but most often I use these small ones on the wallet. Here, the principle is almost the same as on the Omega button, only slightly different, because now I will tell you. First, we put the hat. For the hat, we choose a punch size so that the hat fits in it, and select. We press, the hat practically enters. We will use this punch, and I'll explain why. I punch, insert the hat on the visible side, turn it over, and this part of the hat, should get in here. Why? So that the plug does not hang out and is held well, so it does not spoil the appearance of the product and does not come loose in the end. What can also happen? We take our magic plate, select the size of the hat so that it fits well here, and select installation. We put it here. Pay attention to how I hold it, it should be exact. Everything is clear, nothing should get in the way. With this double blow, I install the button. Because the button was placed here, in the groove, it doesn't move from this. If, suddenly, you don't have such a groove, then your button will be flat, not so neat and beautiful. Because of this, a little bit the foot and the button will shift, and that is unpleasant. Now the return part. We choose a smaller punch, we need it to fit just this foot. Therefore, we take a smaller punch, and check so that our foot fits. We put the hat on it, the return part. After we put it on, we take our magic plate, turn it over, and put our part here. What is important? We cannot use this punch, we need a punch of another type. Here is the difference from the installation of the Omega button. Here is a punch of this type, inside, we insert by size, it fits our leg. And in the same way, we install it. I repeat, use the right tool, use a high-quality tool, and keep the installer straight. And finally, the final stage, I'll tell you a little bit about the buttons, what they are, and why they look the same at first glance. These are ordinary buttons we use, the simplest ones. What is it? These buttons are made from black metal. How to determine if it is black metal or not? With a magnet, black metal sticks to the magnet, even when polished. They are much cheaper than stainless steel. For example, the screw, stainless steel. It does not stick to the magnet, while black metal does stick. They can be the same color, but the opposite, the screw sticks because it is made of black metal. It would seem one set, but made of different materials. What else do I want to draw your attention to? Sometimes buttons are made of brass. Their color looks like this. To find out if it's brass or not, there's only one way, use a magnet. If it sticks, it's not brass. Colored metals do not stick. Stainless steel is a colored metal. You can use a magnet to understand if you like it or if it's quality. In leatherwork, we usually use ordinary buttons. Why? Because buttons are afraid of water. And that's it, we're not interested in water-resistant buttons. Stainless steel buttons and bronze ones are used for contact with water so they don't spoil and serve longer. In our business, ordinary buttons are enough because we rarely have contact with water. You've been on the channel. If you liked our video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, write a comment, ask your questions. We will consider them and make new videos. See you. Bye.